Alright everyone, another day, another sexual assault allegation. This time it has to do with Glenn Thrush, who is actually, his significance is, he doesn't just work for the New York Times, he is their White House correspondent. So he's been suspended from his job. I think there are 3 different women alleging he was harassing them in a more physical manner. He's in the second circle of allegation hell, along with most of these others. You gotta realize, most of these people, they're not like rapists. They just were, they were a little too pushy with people. And some of them, they're a level above, and it was just all words. It was like someone was like being rapey and harassy, but they didn't, lay hands on someone. So there are these 4 different levels of allegations. Most of them are in the top 2 somewhere, which if it's just harassment, it's kind of survivable, like a Louis C.K. affair. If it's at the next level like this, it's professionally not going to be survivable for a person, but they should be able to hammer out a life. Once you get to the 3rd level, it's like, well, possible jail time. Once you get to the 4th level, it's like lynch mob shows up. That's the lowest of the low. And I've already explained that in all the prior allegations videos. But apparently what happened is that in times past, he's a very vocal advocate for, women in the workforce, should be respected. We need to stand up for ladies in the workplace. He was basically like the model male feminist. It seems that a lot of these people are, which is the funny part. He was like touching people inappropriately. He made advances, and then when they wouldn't respond, he'd just sort of leave them high and dry. So I don't think he went beyond that, which is good. I mean, he wasn't a Bill Cosby style. And he wasn't drugging people and raping them. But still, for somebody, why is it that it always seems, it's never some piggish person who's like, their persona publicly and professionally is, hey, I'm a real man's man, look at how hairy my armpits are, I smell like the inside of a trash can, I don't fucking care. Men going their own way. It's never somebody like that. It's always these very sensitive individuals. They care very much about your feelings. And it's called projection. That's really what it's about. What happens is the person, what they're doing is they're trying to prevent people it's a sort of a psychological defense mechanism to prevent people from knowing that they're like rapey or whatever. They talk about how bad other people are when they're like that to differentiate themselves in their own minds. And they tend to elaborate at great detail on this and fixate on it. It's like when people fixate on race, then they're like, well, we should punch Nazis and stuff. My immediate inclination is usually to assume that they are projecting to cover up the fact that they have racial beliefs, and they feel bad about it. Like, they feel unbalanced about it. They're like, well, if people found out, I would be fired, I wouldn't have any friends maybe, or something like that. Or on the other hand, maybe they genuinely feel bad about it. Like, they're like, well, I'm a terrible fucking person. I need to, basically atone. This is why all these perverts get into the Catholic Church, by the way. A lot of these people, I think they go there and they're like, well, maybe the Lord can save me because, I feel guilty. Then they get there, they realize, hey, you're going to be teaching Sunday school, temptation is everywhere, and it doesn't work. Because, of course, their prayers are not going to be answered on that token. What they really need to do is cool their heels in a cell and learn repercussions. But that won't happen, of course, because they can do internal investigating. Unfortunately, it looks like in these media groups, even if somebody has done stuff that could rise to the level of criminal harassment, usually they're going to be protected by that news group while the news group itself pretends to punish them. Well, we'll suspend him for a little while or something. It's dumb. And behold, all these groups were so quick to jump on Fox in the wake of the Bill O'Reilly scandal. You remember this. Bill O'Reilly is, he's harassing his coworkers, basically. He's doing things that are on the same order as what Glenn Thrush apparently was doing, or any of these others. Like, he's not even on the 3rd level. He's somewhere in the 2nd level of allegation hell. He gets completely lambasted, all of these people within the media, including some at Fox, by the way, you'll remember. So don't tell me, well, Fox, but it's evil, and so, we have to attack. No, what you see here is that the prevailing attitude in every newsroom appears to be, yeah, there's a lot of drugs and a lot of sexual innuendo going on, and young women are being adversely affected by the fact that you've got these rich male pundits and stuff. It's not just Fox News. Yeah, it happened there. It's not a surprise, and of course, Bill O'Reilly's a dumbass. And he settled all these things out, so it's kind of self-explanatory. People came forward. It's basically hush money, or so it sounds. That's the allegation. He gets canned. It apparently happens at the New York Times. You'll remember with Vice. Vice, the newsroom there was supposedly so sexually concerning that a bunch of people, didn't they walk off? And it was like, how many people came forward to say, yeah, it's basically like the newsroom of sexual abuse? I mean, Vice, of all places, the biggest projector of all when it comes to, well, we believe the victim, number one. We need more women in the workplace. I wonder why they want more women in their workplace. It's because they want more availability, I guess. They want to have more people that they can sexually assault and intimidate. It happens in the New York Times. It happens everywhere. But they all jumped down Fox News' throat when it was just when it was just Bill Cosby, who was alleged to be, well, he rapes everything that moves. They had a field day talking about how wonderful a story it was. They wanted to talk about it 24/7 and say, well, he's a conservative star, so no wonder because they're kind of rapey. And then when it was like Weinstein came out, you could see, why do you think Woody Allen responded the way that he did? He's sitting there sweating bullets. Maybe not even for himself. Maybe he's just the premier creepy man but never actually raped anyone. Okay, let's give him a pass for a second. Wonder, why the hell else would he be so nervous? Maybe it's because half of his friends are constantly sexually assaulting people. Maybe that's why. I mean, he's like, well, I'm basically screwed. Everyone around me is going to be dropping like flies. And look, he got Spacey. He's gone for good, basically. He'll never work again. Louis C.K., he just has to take a breather because he was on the top level of hell. George Takei, now that's just one allegation as far as I know, and he's said weird things before, but he's a Stern regular, so I'm not sure that we can read 100% too much into that. But who was it who said that they wanted, it was Franken, wasn't it? Al Franken, another neoliberal along with Conyers. And they've both got, I think, second accusers now. Didn't Al Franken, according to a clip that was there, didn't he try to grab, like, was it Kathy Lee's ass at some point or something? He said this was said back in 1999. It was just really weird. So you see, now these allegations primarily affect neoliberals. But part of it is a little bit of bias, and I'll tell you how. You need to pay attention to this. You got to realize that Hollywood and most of DC are run by neoliberals. Now, neocon and neoliberal are the same thing, so it's an interchangeable term. But the whole establishment itself is like 90% composed of these people. So anytime somebody has done something harassing or they've sexually assaulted somebody that turns out they're a total pervert, like they make obscene phone calls to widows or whatever, there's a 90% chance, assuming, statistically everything is the same, there's about a 90% chance that it's going to be someone who's basically a neoliberal. And as for the partisan side, at least with Hollywood, it's like 90% for the Democratic Party. There are other groups that tend to be associated with the Republicans, although that's beginning to shift, because all those old, like the oil companies and the mines sort of side, they're starting to back the Democrats too, because the Democrats are the ones that want the corporate cash now, which is funny. So yeah, Glenn Thrush, he's out of his position. It turns out at least I think 3 women have come forward and said, yeah, he harassed me, he's like trying to intimidate me, he's getting a little too touchy-feely, and meanwhile he's projecting and saying, women's rights, women's in the workplace, we have to make the environment at our workplaces very good for young women, they need to be able to get ahead. Well, why do you think he wants more women around him? I'm sure that he said, well, I want to hire more women. I want every intern and staffer in this whole fucking room to be female. I wonder why he could possibly want that. I don't think it's just because he cares about them getting ahead. Like, are they really going to get ahead, or are they still going to be in that same staffer position only with $2 more an hour or $1,000 more a year salary 10 years down the road? Which one do you think is going to be the case? More women in the workplace equals more opportunities for some of these individuals in these positions to be rapey. So yeah, of course they will. Of course they want women in the work. They want affirmative action desperately. They wish that their workplace had to hire only women. I want to be the only male here. We're going to be the most female-centric company in the whole United States. Only women around me. No Y chromosomes allowed. Okay, we don't want to be transphobic, so we'll make a couple of allowances. We'll have a few tokens. That's the way that they think, because they're the ones projecting, the ones that are into that weird stuff. So be careful when you have somebody, the media and government or whatever, and all they can talk about is how wonderful such a thing is, or they talk only about race. Like they're a Sharpton. they probably are on the opposite side. Like, Al Sharpton's probably virulently racist. Now, I would say is, but, you know, I don't have, like, 10 quotes lined up to prove that he is. So I'm just going to say, well, I allege that there's a good chance that he or Jax and some of these people, that they're, like, really, really obsessed with it in their personal lives, but not in such a happy way. Either that or they're projecting because they just don't give a shit and they just want your money. As for these pundits, yeah, I wonder I wonder why this dude wanted female staffers. Yeah. Excuse me, my dear, but I appear to have dropped my clipboard. Would you kindly retrieve it? Yeah, I bet that's what it's probably how he acts all day. That's the problem. That's about all. Peace out.